What's up, Hoarders? Welcome back to part 2 in this series where I go through every single upcoming MMORPG on my personal watch list of over 140 total games. And if you haven't watched part 1 yet, what the hell are you doing here? You have to watch these videos in order or you're not going to get any of the callbacks. You're just going to think I'm saying dumb stuff that doesn't make any sense, and that's just going to make me look bad and you look stupid, and neither of us want that. So make sure you do watch part 1. However, if you insist and you really want to, I suppose you can watch these videos out of order. It'll have a sort of memento effect, so it'll be all artsy and stuff. You're welcome in advance because that's pretty cool. In the first video, we tackled games A through C, and in this video, we'll be covering games D through K. And no, that's not a phallic joke. What are you, a 7th grader? We're not in middle school anymore. Get your juvenile minds out of the gutter and focus, because we have a lot of games to talk about, and I don't want you clowns making fart jokes in the back of the classroom. So lock in, and here we go. First game on the list today is called Dark Continent, and as you can see from the video on the screen, it's a fast-paced action combat MMORPG. And lots of games are trying to be action combat MMOs these days, but this game, the combat looks like they've got it dialed in and locked in, and it is on point. There's no tab targeting, no button mashing. You have to dodge, roll, dash, and attack with precision. Combat is meant to feel impactful and fluid, and they have animation cancels, the oh so important animation cancels. Plus, just watching this boss fight here, this boss is going to start ragdolling players. You see the body just flying through the air. Because that's like exactly what would happen if you were fighting a boss that day. He would just smack you and you would go flying. I don't know what it is about this fight scene it's got me cracking up and hyped at the same time. It's an odd combination of emotions. But Dark Continent is getting me hyped up. Like, it looks like they've really got the action combat down. So I am excited for this one. In addition to the action combat, as you can see on the screen here, there are epic boss fights with massive cinematic bosses with complex behaviors, unique attack patterns, and escalating difficulties. So it's just, this boss fight's still tripping me out. Like, I want to play this one a lot, really. Like, Dark Continent. I kind of just want to watch this video. Anyway, it's also got mounts, both ground mounts and flying mounts, and the immersive world is filled with hidden secrets and high-stakes encounters. There's no autoplay and no pay to win. So this looks like this could be near the pinnacle of action combat in the MMO field. So keep your eyes out for Dark Continent. Next up on the list is Darkcraft. This is going to be a free-to-play, Souls-like MMORPG set in a grim, dark fantasy world. The project combines the depth of tactical combat inspired by hardcore action games with the scale of an MMO. So if they can pull this off, this will be sick. Souls-like action in an MMORPG, like, sign me up, I'm ready to go. So Souls-style action combat turns every encounter into a real challenge. So every fight is just gonna be a fight for your life, and I'm already in. Take my money. Combat's built around timing, stamina management, and the ability to predict your opponent's moves. So just like in the Souls-like games, you have to kind of learn the attack patterns before you figure out how to beat these guys. Every encounter carries risk. Victory brings loot, while defeat takes part of it away. So it sounds like we're going to be dropping loot when you die in this game. They just kind of up the hardcore factor a little bit right there. The open world's filled with secrets and dangers. The world is shaped by game masters, who are members of the team who can directly intervene in gameplay. Everyone loves the dev-led events where devs control enemies, devs are interacting. So it sounds like they're going to have some kind of system with this. And it says the game masters can command enemies and set up unexpected ambushes. They can appear in the form of world bosses, issue unique quests, or trigger events that will never happen again, with the goal being to create the feeling of a truly living world where every adventure is unpredictable and one of a kind. So on paper, that sounds amazing. What it's really going to boil down to is, what's the frequency? How often are these events actually happening? You know, if it's once a month, okay, it's fun, but the other 28 days of the month, what are we doing? But if they're doing this, you know, on the regular, like nightly events or something, daily events, that'll be pretty cool. It says you can play solo or in a group. There's going to be PvP, and it sounds like it's going to be open world PvP, based on them saying meeting another player can easily turn into a deadly clash. The constant tension makes every short raid a true ordeal. So it sounds like there's going to be open world PvP and open dungeon or open world dungeons with PvP. So you're trying to do some raid with your buddies, and, you know, another group sweeps in and just smokes you guys. They ambush you and take you out, and then they get the raid boss too. I'm not sure how I feel about the Minecraft graphics with this sort of setting, but the game itself, in theory, is I'm all in. Can't wait to find out more. There's no like gameplay footage. This is all, you know, pre-rendered CGI. But I'll be definitely looking forward to hearing more about this game as they release more info. Darkcraft. Next up is a game called Debauchery Magic, and there was no actual videos that weren't in short form or short format, so that's what we're looking at here. And I actually had a chance to play this one, and I'm telling you, this, if you could just turn memes into an MMORPG, meme ORPG or something, that's this game. If you've ever thought to yourself, you know what would make this game better? Kickflips. This might be the game for you. So the land in this game is called Haven, and in Haven, magic thrives and debauchery is strictly forbidden. So your goal is to defy a ruthless new ruler as you and your buddies quest for loot, parties, and battle your way across the kingdom to bring freedom back to its people. You're doing kickflips for freedom. You're chugging those beers for freedom. That's what this game's about. It's got drinking, drugs, and indulgences directly influence your stats, abilities, and combat flow. So these things give you buffs and debuffs, hallucinations, and chaotic side effects. It's all part of the lifestyle. Now, this is being advertised as an online co-op RPG, but it's basically an MMO. Like I said, I got to try it earlier. It was in a really early state when I played it a few months ago, but they're aiming for a December 2026 early access release on Steam, I believe. So you'll be able to play this one most likely later this year. And in addition to the features I already mentioned, there's skateboards. Pretty sure this is the only MMORPG with skateboards, fishing, mining, gambling. It has a main story quest line. I can't even imagine what the main story quest line is going to be. And of course, dungeons and raids. So this one, if you've never heard of it, put it on your calendar. Debauchery Magic, December 2026. Next up is a game called Dominus Automa. And Dominus Automa is an automated MMORPG created for players who love depth but no longer have time for traditional grinding. It delivers a full-scale MMO with all the systems you expect without the pressure of daily play sessions. So, I am not a fan of autoplay games. So you're probably asking, how is this game different from an autoplay game? Because it sure looks like an autoplay game. The edge I will give this game compared to most autoplay games is they have an extremely in-depth function in the game where you can essentially set up an order for your abilities. So you set what order they're going to fire in, and then on top of that, you set up very detailed conditions for each ability. For instance, how much health you or the enemy has, the distance between you and the enemies, or even like the number of enemies you're surrounded by. So you're coming up with essentially a very detailed strategy for your character to carry out while they're playing the game. It's not like most autoplay games where you run around and all of a sudden there's a monster and your guy just takes off by himself and kills everything. You're just watching the whole time. You are watching the whole time here, but you can switch up your strategies on the fly. You see on the screens here, there's lots of abilities. They're showing kind of how you can set up different conditions for the abilities. So if you just want to, if you're like deep into strategy, I could see this actually being a fun game for you where you can try to figure out the best conditions for your abilities to get through all the difficult content. It's also going to have crafting and gathering. There's going to be, obviously the combat you see is auto combat, but with the conditions. It'll have dungeons, leaderboards, and guilds. And this is truly a persistent world. So other players can encounter your hero during their own adventures. They'll see you in action, whether or not you're online or not. So hundreds of autonomous characters continuously shape the world, whether their creators are online or not. And as you've seen in the video a few times, you can check your hero's progress, adjust their priorities, and issue commands remotely, even from your phone. So there's going to be a phone voice command option to just, I guess, tell your guy to go farm some, go cut some logs, go mine some ore, go run this dungeon, go grind mobs. Kind of a cool feature, I guess, just checking up on your phone, then you get home on your computer and you see how much stuff your guys farmed up. But I figured I would include it. Some people probably hate it because they say it's autoplay, but I think for the right player, if they look at it as a strategic challenge more than an autoplay game, some people could really enjoy this one. So Dominus Automa. Next up is DragoSword Awakening. Now this is supposed to be the spiritual successor to Dragon Nest. And if you ever played Dragon Nest, it's a super old game, but it had really good combat, really good action combat. So that's kind of the whole shtick with this game. It's going to have action combat that's just plain awesome. If you're a fan of action combat and MMOs, you have to check this game out. It should be pretty much off the charts with near unparalleled action combat. In addition to the action combat, there's going to be a big open world with an emphasis on exploration and discovery. There's not classes in this game. There's heroes. So there are 19 different heroes. You unlock them and then you can switch between them. You also get companions in this game. So there's going to be a party of up to 3 players, and you can swap between the party members. And you can create combos, so like the combat combos, by swapping characters mid-combo. So essentially, lots of games have like a 2-weapon system where you pick your 2 weapons and you weapon swap during combat. This is that same kind of thing, but instead of weapons, it's heroes, and you get 3 of them instead of 2. So if you like weapon swapping in action combat games, you'll probably like this one with the hero swapping. There's going to be a lot of different combos and synergies. A lot of different, that's essentially your build, your party is what 3 heroes you're using is like your character class, essentially. Like in games we'll be talking about later in this video, Hollowed Oath and EverQuest Legends, you pick 3 classes to make your character. In this game, you're going to end up having 3 different heroes to make your combat self. In addition, there's going to be some crafting, which there's not a whole lot of info yet. It might only be cooking, but it will at least have cooking. And as you can see here, there's mounts, there's ground mounts, there's flying mounts, and there's swimming mounts. And once again, it's going to have online co-op. So not a full-fledged MMORPG, but for anyone that was a fan of Dragon Nest, you should definitely be checking this one out. I know I'm going to be checking this one out. Once again, DragoSword Awakening. The next game is Drakantos. Now this one, I'm sure a lot of you are excited for this one. It's going to be a free-to-play 2D MMORPG, and it's aiming straight for that 16-bit nostalgia. I mean, it literally looks like, Chrono Trigger or any of those Square MMO, or not MMOs, Squaresoft RPGs from the mid-90s on Super Nintendo. And in this game, just like the last one, you don't pick your class, you pick a hero. Currently, there are 21 heroes to choose from with their own unique mechanics, personal traits, and story roles. And each game update will bring new heroes. So they're always going to be adding new heroes into the game. If there's not one that you're super in love with yet, at some point, they're probably going to come out with a hero you like. You can modify your hero's abilities with orb and artifacts to customize their skills and change their gameplay style. So essentially what that sounds like to me is there's going to be ways to use the same hero, but kind of have different builds with that hero. So you'll have a couple options of how you play the hero based on what you're doing with their abilities, orbs, artifacts, and skills. The game can be played in solo or in a group. It has PvE missions, which are their quests and dungeons. There's going to be PvP battlegrounds with rankings, regular in-game tournaments, and all kinds of PvP like that. And in the PvP, the stats are evened out, so only the player's skill and strategy matters. So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. In addition, the game has lots of icons, titles, and skins to unlock to personalize your heroes. So even though everyone's picking the same heroes, you unlock skins and you'll be able to kind of individuate yourself. I don't even know if that's a real word. You'll be able to look unique compared to other people using the same hero. There's also dozens of pets to collect. There's a housing system, a market system for players to trade, a guild system, and global events, which are regularly scheduled mini games to change things up for the players. I don't think I mentioned it, but this has action combat, which I'm actually looking forward to. I didn't get to try this one during its first playtest, but they have another playtest coming later this month, May 2026, where I think they're going to be focusing on PvP. Well, actually, I think it's everything from the previous playtest plus now PvP. So be on the lookout for the May Drakantos playtest. Next up is a game called Eclipse: The Awakening, and there is next to no information about this game at all. So we're just going to watch this cinematic a little bit and I guess use some hopium to hope it's a good game. But it's being developed by InPixel, which, if you're not aware, InPixel did some early development on the game Chrono Odyssey. So they at least have some experience with MMORPGs, and it's most likely going to be a cross-platform with PC and mobile. So hopefully it's more mobile than PC, but you never really know until they're out. I know a couple games have crossed that mobile PC barrier. Like I know Black Desert has a mobile, Albion has a mobile. I don't know what else has. I'm sure there are a few more big ones that have mobile variants. So hopefully it goes that route as opposed to lots of just the typical cross-platform that's actually just a mobile MMO that was reformatted for PC. But they still have a 2026 release date. Now that's not clear if that's the Korean launch date or if it's the global launch date. I have to lean towards Korean launch date since there's no information about the game, but there's a chance that this actually comes out this year. So once again, Eclipse the Awakening. The next game is Eldramoor, Haven in the Mists, and this one is another VR MMORPG. So in addition to Ascent Quest from a couple videos ago, you've also got this game if you're into VR MMOs. You have a couple options. Hopefully you like something you see in one of these two. But let's go over Eldramoor real quick. The world in Eldramoor is divided up into 5 unique regions, all with their own biomes and unique enemies and loot and all that stuff. There are 3 races and 4 classes to choose from, the classes being Warrior, Mage, Monk, and Alchemist, and additional classes are planned for the future. They haven't decided which ones yet, but they do want more classes. And each character can level up every class. So you can change your class on the fly. You're not locked into one class. You can kind of experiment and try different things. And additionally, the gear isn't class locked. So you can just mix and match classes with any gear and kind of come up with your own unique build, whatever works for you. Or if you're playing with your buddies, you guys can take turns. One person's the tank this time, then you do another dungeon, someone else tanks. It's nice and flexible, and it's a pretty cool system in my opinion. In terms of other gameplay, there's plenty of gameplay at different challenge levels, all the way up to and including hardcore rating. So one of the things they wanted was this game to be very accessible to everyone. So the game will start out extremely easy, where pretty much anyone can do it, and it will slowly ramp up all the way up to, like we said, hardcore rating. So once again, they have a challenge level appropriate for every type of gamer in this game. Outside of combat, there's also life skills like in most MMOs. In this game, the 7 professions to master are fishing, foraging, mining, woodcutting, smithing, cooking, and artisanry. So those are all their own little thing. I've also read that with the crafting, at least, I don't know if that also includes cooking, but with smithing, they're going to have different difficulties of smithing, where I guess, like, you know, some things are literally physically harder to smith based on your skills. So there's probably some kind of like mini games with the crafting. And speaking of mini games, the local taverns are also filled with fun little mini games. So you and your buddies are hanging out between adventures at the local tavern. There's going to be mini games to keep you guys busy and, you know, have a little fun there. Also, that's kind of a nice thing because in a social VR MMO, I imagine people do just want to hang out and, you know, just hang out and talk and experience the game world without having to go out and try to do dungeons and everything. So when you're hanging out in the tavern, it'll be like going to a bar in real life where maybe there's karaoke, maybe there's darts, maybe there's pool, yard darts. What's the one with the beanbags? Bocce ball. Oh, I'm blanking. I'm so bad on the spot. But all these games that you would have at normal bars, maybe they're gonna have some kind of mini games like that at the taverns in the game. So that could be pretty cool. Additionally, there's going to be PvP. PvP is available in 3 of the zones in the world, so not every zone's going to have PvP, but some of them will. And as you can see on the video here, from time to time, there's also climbing and gliding to get around the world, so that's pretty fun. I'm always a big fan of climbing in games, and gliding is becoming a more and more recurring theme in MMOs. It's pretty fun too. There's also guilds and guild systems, and the game is set for early access in December of 2026. That's Eldramoor, Haven in the Mists. Next up is Elegon, which I believe is having a live test on stream right now. So if you see this video early enough, you might check out Steam and see if you can get in this playtest. It might still be going. Anyway, this is an MMORPG for players who miss the soul of early MMOs, where exploration mattered and progression was earned. So this game is aiming to give a rewarding solo and group content experience, but it sounds like they don't want the easy button. They want players to actually have to put in some effort to get rewards. It's going to have a seamless, open, persistent world designed to reward curiosity and commitment. It has deep stat-driven progression systems that put meaningful choices in the hands of players, and there's thousands of quests from simple tasks to long-form adventures designed to encourage players to explore every corner of the game world. So as I'm reading this stuff, you see over and over and over, there's a big emphasis on exploration and discovery, which I was just talking about someone today. It seems like exploration and discovery are just missing out of so many MMORPGs. Like there's just no exploration, no discovery. You just go in a straight line from point A to point B, from quest giver to quest objectives, just not even looking at the world, just looking at your mini map. Hopefully this game can really pull it off and really add that immersive layer of exploration and discovery, because those are two of the most fun things that just get left out of so many games these days. I really hope this game can pull it off. Back to the game though. It's going to have dungeons that are filled with mechanics that reward teamwork and planning, and there are raids which are designed as the ultimate challenges that will push groups to their limits and offer highly sought after rewards. So it sounds like one of those games where all the best stuff is coming from raids. You know, nothing to write home about, but cool, good to know. There's also going to be non-combat progression, including crafting, gathering, and specialization paths. And if you like this one, check him out on YouTube. The dev, I think it might be a single dev, but he's putting out videos every single week with his content updates about what's going on in this game. So that's a pretty cool feature too. You can just see in real time almost this game evolve from what it used to be to where it's going. So once again, this one's called Elegon. The next game is called Embers of the Uncrowned, and this one is an isometric MMORPG. It's going to have fast-paced combat, and kind of the story is you are a lord returning to your lands, and your goal is to rebuild your house. So there's some base building and settlement management features in this game, which is kind of cool. So you start out with just a camp, and you eventually grow it into a vibrant city. The game has 3 unique classes, which are Spectral Blade, Executioner, and Stormbringer. And there's a detailed face and body customization that we're used to from the Korean MMOs these days. There's a companion system in this game where you recruit companions and grow stronger together. So you're going to have your own little minion following you around, helping you with combat. That's kind of a cool little feature. I'd be curious to see how that works out in the long run, because I know I haven't played many MMORPGs with companions. I played DDO, and those have they're called hirelings, but it's the same thing, and they're kind of weak. So I'm curious how strong your companion can grow in Embers of the Uncrowned. Additionally, there's going to be domain bosses, so you're going to defeat bosses to reclaim your lands, and there will be raids. So that's kind of a cool feature too, where it sounds like there's probably going to be some kind of main story quest line where you go around the game world, and each domain that you go to is going to have a boss. You defeat that boss, and you take back part of your land. And you see here on screen that the city's getting built up. They got their walls. It's kind of a cool little twist on the MMO genre. I'll be interested to see how this one comes out. I'm not super into isometric games, but I will definitely give this one a try and see how the city building goes. I remember playing Neverwinter Nights 2, and that kind of had a fortress building part to it. I liked it a lot, so I'll give this one a try when it comes out. Embers of the Uncrowned. Next up is Epitome. This is going to be a free-to-play action combat MMORPG. And the goal in this game is to become a god, or what's called an Archon, kind of lowercase god. So the lore is there's one big god, and he creates lowercase gods called Archons, and whatever the story is, we're trying to become an Archon in the game, which is a pretty cool premise, to be honest. We're trying to become a god in a game. It'd be kind of crazy with thousands of players all trying to become a god, and presumably all becoming gods. There's gonna be a lot of gods in that world, but still a cool premise to begin with. Maybe a better premise for a single player game, but I'll be curious to see how they play it out in an MMO, because they're assuming or hoping to have lots of players. So I wonder how they kind of reconcile that with lots of players all becoming gods. Anyway, let me stop rambling. Probably the coolest feature in this game, though, that I've read of, is they have AI-powered NPCs. And I don't care if you're for AI, against AI, whatever, this is a cool feature. If you played Where Winds Meet, they had a similar feature with some of their NPCs, where you could just have full-on conversations with the NPCs in the game. And the NPCs were powered by AI. They would read your text inputs, your dialogue, and they would respond to you. You could ask them questions, they'd give you answers. Just shoot the shit and you talk about whatever. It was a really cool feature in Where Winds Meet, and I imagine it's going to be a really cool feature in this game, assuming it's on similar levels. So you can talk to the NPCs about any game-related topics. You can negotiate for better rewards. So you talk to a quest giver, and they're like, go kill 5 wolves and I'll give you 10 gold. And you're like, that doesn't work for me, brother. I'm gonna need at least 15 gold to go kill those wolves. But that's a pretty cool feature. I wonder if they have something where it's not just getting a little bit more gold, but like maybe there are hidden items in the game that you can only get if you barter your way up to better quest rewards. Like that would be a really sweet game feature that I hope it has. And it says you can also get game advice, such as how to build your character. So if you don't know what skills to take or what gear to use, or I guess just go ask the blacksmith or the character trainer, hey, what should I be doing? And they'll tell you. The game is going to have one single server for all the players. So I love it when games do this, when they don't make you pick a server. Everyone's in the same game world. If they can pull it off without lag and stuff, awesome. No pay to win, that's always good. Although pay to win is so subjective. Everyone's got their own 2 cents on what pay to win is and what it isn't. So hopefully they side more on the player's side of what no pay to win means. It's going to have 5 classes: Warrior, Ninja, Shaman, Necromancer, and Elementalist, with Necromancer and Elementalist actually being unlockable in the game. So you can't start as those, but you unlock them through playing. Each class has 2 paths, and there's going to be 2 factions in the game. So presumably, probably some faction versus faction PvP. But that's about all the info on this one. It's called Epitome. Next up on the list is Eternal Tombs. Now this game is run by live staff called Tomb Masters, who are constantly evolving the world, elevating the story, and personalizing your adventure. Some examples of what they do are opening up secret areas, spawning treasures, spawning special mobs, raid encounters, traps, and triggering pre-built events. So that's all pretty cool on paper. We'll have to see how it plays out in the game world. But anytime they're having people, like game masters, dungeon masters, do stuff like that, if it's like a constant daily thing, that'll be a pretty sweet feature. Aside from that, it's an open, persistent world consisting of around 30 different zones. Exploration and discovery are a big deal for this game. You're going to be able to unlock different professions, skills, and abilities exclusively through exploration and discovery. There's no mini-map. We all know now, I love this feature. Get those mini-maps out of my MMO. So if you do hate games with no mini-map, this might not be the game for you. There is a world map, though. But the world map doesn't have any indicator of where you are. You just need to know, I'm in this village is here on the map, so this is to the west, this is to the east. But it's got that cool, that all plays back into exploration and discovery. It's so much more immersive, in my opinion. It's going to have fast-paced action combat. There are 6 unique classes, and when I say unique, they're actually unique, like classes you don't see every day. Chloromancer, Warlord, Manipulator, Bone Stitcher, Ranger. Okay, maybe you see Ranger every day, but the other ones are unique. And Bombardier. You can also run your own shop for like player trading. You'll be able to defend castle sieges, conduct war operations, and war operations are PvE instanced group content. So I think a big part of like the lore and the story is there's this big war between the 2 factions, and conducting war operations for your faction will be part of the PvE instanced group content. There's going to be crafting of weapons, armor, and more. Harvesting will include skinning, butchering, mining, digging for treasure. I love when games can dig for treasure, because that always makes me think, how good is the treasure going to be that you can actually dig up? I'm hoping there's some like best in slot gear piece that's only found by digging for treasure. That'd be pretty cool. There's going to be opt-in ranked PvP that you can compete in. For questing, there's a main story quest line and side quests. There's dungeons and raiding with 20 plus raids planned for launch. That's insane. That's a ton of raids for launch, which makes me curious if the raids are going to be spaced out at different level ranges or if they're just all going to be 20 plus in-game raids. Either way, that's a lot of raids. Hopefully they get them all in for launch. There's also going to be mounts and pets and both solo and group content, but the best rewards will come from group content. The monetization model is going to be buy to play with an optional sub and no microtransactions. Another big thing they like is they say everything you get in-game is earned. So there's not going to be any cool cosmetics to buy that make you look cool. If your character looks cool, it's because you did something cool to look that way. And they're aiming for an early 2027 release. Once again, Eternal Tombs. The next game is EverQuest Legends. Finally a game you've probably heard of. Even if you haven't heard of EverQuest Legends, I'm sure you've heard of EverQuest. So, what's the difference between EverQuest Legends and EverQuest, you might ask? Let's go over it. Because EverQuest Legends is an officially licensed EverQuest product. So it's going to be classic EverQuest with a twist. And what is that twist? The twist is this game is extremely casual and solo friendly. You can create immensely powerful characters by multi-classing. You get 3 different classes to combine in any combination you want to make just one uber overpowered character that can solo the entire game. So it's one of those power fantasy games. Also for fans of EverQuest who, you know, played the old game, remember it, and maybe they want to get back into EverQuest, but they don't have a group, they don't want to try to find people to play with, EverQuest Legends has got you covered. However, you can still play with people. There are groups for up to 4 people and raids for up to 8 people, but the entire game can be played solo. So it's designed so that everything can be completed by a single player. They're having a streamlined UI and updated spell and ability management, plus a lot of other quality of life changes compared to the original EverQuest. So it's not just original EverQuest plus multi-classing. It's original EverQuest plus quality of life plus multi-classing. And if anyone out there had heard about the Hero's Journey, the THJ private server, this is basically the official EverQuest version of that. So there you go. EverQuest Legends. They're aiming for a July 2026 launch date, which is right around the corner. So keep your eyes open for this one. Next up is Fractured Conquest. This is going to be a fantasy warfare sandbox with 3 factions and MOBA-style action combat. Now, if anyone out there played Fractured Online, this is the same dev studio, and if by chance you had purchased a copy of Fractured Online, you should be getting a free copy of Fractured Conquest whenever Fractured Conquest launches. So same dev team. I imagine the game is going to look similar. There's no footage of the new game yet, but I imagine it's going to be very similar. There's going to be 3 classes: melee tank, ranged DPS, and healer, and there are multiple weapon types to choose from with their own unique abilities to further customize your build. So it sounds like you pick your class, which is going to give you some of your abilities, and then your weapon that you choose to use is going to give you other abilities. So the kind of combination of class and weapon is going to be your unique class. There's going to be player-driven crafting and economy, where you can craft weapons, armor, and consumables. You can also hunt creatures for rare materials, control trade routes, build strongholds, and supply the war effort. There's going to be large-scale PvP battles with hundreds of players, as well as open-world PvP with territory and resources stakes. So this sounds like a very PvP-centric game with the whole 3 factions. We've seen that before. Camelot. Looking at you, Dark Age. But yeah, 3-faction PvP, territory control, all that stuff. Sounds pretty good. Additionally, though, there's going to be sieges where you can capture player-built strongholds, and you can summon faction minions to control the battlefield. So there'll be some kind of like AI companion type things to help you. I think like Gloria Victis, you can get NPCs to help guard your territories. There's probably other games too where you can hire NPCs to guard your lands. But it sounds like it's going to have some kind of system similar to those. You can also raid or defend caravans, which are carrying valuable goods. So there's going to be a real trade system in the game, not just players giving players stuff, but like an actual probably Black Desert Online type trade system where you're going to be raiding and defending caravans to help your side. Additionally, there will be world bosses, and the monetization is going to be a buy to play with a one-time purchase price. There will be an in-game shop, but it will be cosmetic items only. So that was Fractured Conquest. Next up is Frontiers Reborn, and sadly there was no video footage of this game that I could find, so we're just going to be looking at the Steam page together, and we'll kind of go through the features. This is a social roleplay first MMO sandbox. It's inspired by the social MMOs of the early 2000s, where social interaction and collaboration came first. In this game, you can own taverns, build factories, practice medicine, and some of the specializations are politics, city building, medicine, camping, religion, legal systems, taverns, entertainment, marketing, event management, trade, and beast handling. So this is sounding a lot like Aegis Kingdoms from the first video, where it very well may be a roleplay only game where you have to literally roleplay your character the entire time, not breaking character. Maybe not quite as strict as Aegis Kingdoms, but this one sounds like it's definitely for the role-playing crowd. Additionally, there's going to be 21 unique crafting disciplines and combat specializations. The game focuses on letting you pick a niche and roleplay a story regardless of how small or grand it might be. So once again, the role playing. Every item in the game is player crafted, and every item is unique. Oh yeah, this is a pretty cool feature. So no two ingredients are the same. The strawberries you collect in the Highlands may fit the same crafting recipes as the strawberries that you find by the beach, but they will have different properties that impact your crafting outcomes. Each item has a unique DNA, which is a score across 12 properties that is imprinted when the item is first harvested. And when you use your iron ore or wolf meat in a recipe, the properties get combined and propagate into your crafted item. So they're saying no two crafting materials are exactly the same. They're all going to have their own pool of stats, and based on those qualities, when you put them in, even though you're crafting a steel sword or whatever, every steel sword you craft is going to have different stats based on the stats of the materials going into that sword. So that's a pretty cool function. That's the way I like crafting, where every item you craft isn't exactly the same. They're not all carbon copies of each other. There's reasons to craft 1,000 swords beyond just trying to get XP. So I like that a lot. So it's a pretty cool crafting system, and the role-playing aspect is going to attract the role-playing crowd, I imagine. Once again, Frontiers Reborn. Next up is Frontier Wars Online. This is an old-school MMORPG featuring multiple NPC factions vying for control over territory. It's going to have tactical turn-based battles with other players and NPC allies. You're going to fight against enemy factions to gain loot, XP, and power. So that's kind of a cool thing where I guess everyone joins an NPC faction and you just have to help your faction against the other factions. And in combat, strategy and positioning is more important than fast reflexes, as would be expected with tactical combat. Captain Obvious over here. Compared to traditional MMORPGs, enemy mobs present a much tougher challenge in this game. So every mob works together and can signal allies to attack certain individuals or areas depending on the level of threat they generate. So not only are you holding the boss's threat if you're the tank, he's going to get like the entire army just going after you because you're just doing too much DPS or whatever. Or maybe it's going to be the kind of thing where, players usually go after the casters first. Maybe the enemies are going to be going after the player casters first. The healers better be careful in this game. Either way, though, the game encourages player interaction and teamwork above all else. So it sounds like it's going to be very team-oriented, probably not a whole lot of solo stuff in this game. There's 4 classes, which are Fighter, Rogue, Mage, and Ranger, and every time you level up, you gain skill points and attribute points, which you get to allocate however you see fit. Unique skills may also be obtained as rare drops from boss enemies, and due to the old-school graphics, the game supports low systems and network requirements. So you don't have to have the fastest internet or the fanciest graphics card to play this game. Just thought I'd chuck that in there at the end. It does sound pretty cool, though, with all the tactical stuff and high difficulty. I'm looking forward to this one. Frontier Wars Online. The next game is Gloria Victis, and this is going to be a relaunch of an older game. So you may have heard of this one. You may have played it years ago. It's coming back to Steam. And this is an MMORPG with an emphasis on realism. It's a low fantasy medieval setting. It's set in an open world, and you have action combat. It's skill-based, non-target combat. So there's direction to it. If you played Mountain Blade or Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's going to be a similar combat system to those games. There's 3 factions, classless progression system, so you get to build your own character. You don't pick your class. You just essentially focus on whatever skills you want to go and increase those. Whatever you're doing, you're going to get better at. It's got open world PvP, where some zones let you loot other players when you've defeated them. So some zones you'll lose some of your loot. Other zones you won't drop your stuff when you die. Additionally, there's PvP tournaments, there's castle sieges, open field battles, and like any good realm versus realm, it's going to have territory control. So you can siege non-instance towns and castles. You can build fortifications to defend your lands. I think I mentioned in one of the previous games, you can hire NPCs to help protect your lands. It's a pretty cool thing. I got to test this one not too long ago, and I had fun in it. Additionally, there's crafting and gathering. There's a player-driven economy. Lots of quests. I think they have like daily and repeating quests, so you can just quest for XP if you want. You don't have to PvP. And it has open world dungeons. So that's it. Gloria Victis. Next up is a game called Hana. Now this is another tactical MMORPG. It's going to have lots of quests, it's going to have dungeons, it's going to have guilds, it's even going to have PvP and an arena PvP. There are leaderboards for reputation, leaderboards for XP, leaderboards for PvP. Right now there are 3 classes, which are tank, ranged, and magic. When you level up, you get stat points and skill points, and you can spend those however you want to kind of create your own unique build. And in this game, you loot gear from enemies, and the gear has somewhat randomized stats, which, when it's got that kind of system, it incentivizes farming items over and over, trying to get the item with the best stats. So the way it worked in this game was certain enemies would drop certain things, and the gear was all set up into gear sets. So you'd figure out what gear set you wanted for your character, what enemies dropped that gear set, and then you go farm those enemies, hoping to get that gear set with the highest possible stats on it. That was kind of the gameplay loop when I played this. I got to play this earlier this year in one of their playtests. It was the first tactical MMO that I had played, and since playing it, it's kind of opened my eyes to tactical style combat in MMORPGs. I'm curious to see if any games can pull that off really well and have a good time with it. But if you're into tactics, you probably want to check this one out and see what it's got. Maybe it'll be right up your alley. It's called Hana. Next up is Helrift. Now this game has 2 separate towns, which are essentially the 2 factions. You pick one, and you're going to be battling the other town or faction for territory and resources. The game has a classless stat and skill-based progression system, where instead of picking a class to be, essentially however you allocate your stats and skills and what gear you're using kind of determines your build, where you can build whatever you want pretty much. You're going to be spending your stats and skill points as you level up. It's going to have open world PvP, as well as scheduled server-wide events where the towns clash for dominance. Once again, I think the story is there's these 2 towns, and there's a rift between them, the Hell Rift, if you will. The rift opens up, and the 2 towns go at it. So that's kind of this game in a nutshell. Beyond that, there's going to be alchemy and crafting. It's going to have dungeons. And in June of 2026, so next month, as of recording this video, there will be a playable demo. So be on the lookout on Steam for this playable demo. And then beyond even that, they're going for a Q3 2026 early access launch. So we'll be able to play this one really soon. Demo in June, Q3 early access launch. And this one looks suspiciously like Diablo, like old school Diablo. See, we have got the orbs of the blue and red. Anyway, check this one out when it comes out, Helrift. The next game is Hero's Destiny. This is an anime MMORPG with no pay to win and no auto farm. They went out of their way to make sure everybody knows no pay to win and no auto farm. So I'm just repeating that for you guys. It's a 2-faction game with open world PvP. You have to flag for the PvP, but if you kill a non-flagged player, you then become a PK, and if you die while you're PK flagged, you may lose your gear. So kind of they're trying to convince people not to be jerks by risking their gear if they are. So kind of a cool system. We'll see how it works out. There's 2 starter classes in the game, Fighter and Wizard, but at level 20, you get to promote to one of 12 specialized classes, including Knight, Duelist, Ice Wizard, Berserker, Hunter, Trainer, Rogue, Dark Wizard, Herbalist, Fire Wizard, Water Wizard, and of course, Confectioner, everyone's favorite MMO class. You spend attribute points each time you level up, and you also earn skill points from killing enemies separate from leveling up. They can be spent at trainers anytime to learn active and passive abilities. The quests in this game range from simple tasks to epic storylines. There are daily and weekly quests. There are dungeons and raids for high-level players, which require the Holy Trinity, tank, DPS, heals, and there are world bosses. Additionally, there are guilds and guild systems and guild PvP, and lastly, there is crafting in this game too. There was no gathering when I played it. I got to play this in a playtest not too long ago. The enemies you killed just simply dropped crafting materials, so I'm not sure if they're going to add gathering in at some point, or if just that's what this is. The way it is what it is, but there is crafting. So there you go. Hero's Destiny, anime, PvP, MMORPG. The next game on the list is Hollowed Oath, and if you haven't heard of this one before, pay attention because this one's pretty cool. It's another casual and solo-friendly game, so if you don't have a guild, or if you only got limited time, you only got 30 minutes, you don't have time to find a group, you just hop on, play a bit, and hop off, and you can still make progress. It's going to be a big open world. There's 16 classes, and of those 16 classes, here's the real kicker in this game. You get to choose 3 classes to create your own very unique class. And there's a total of 560 possible class combinations, which is insane. So essentially, there are 560 different classes in this game. So whatever you can dream up, you can do in this game. Whatever you want your character to be able to do, it will be able to do with all those different class combinations. And once you've picked your 3 classes, you're going to choose from a shared pool of active abilities, passive traits, and stats. And then you can kind of essentially build that into a kit that fits your individual play style. There's also a synergy system where some of the skills you have apply a status to the enemy, like marked or cursed. Then other powerful abilities take advantage of these states. So the idea is to pick classes that can apply the status and then take advantage of the status. So your one class applies marked, and then you have another class that has a powerful ability that does 3 times the damage if the target's marked. Something along those lines. That's kind of the idea with this class synergy thing. Or make sure you're playing with characters that can take advantage of the statuses you can provide. There's also going to be instance dungeons, and the loot in this game, this is kind of a cool feature. The equipment or loot that you get is based on the class of the enemy that dropped it. So if you're fighting an archer, it's going to drop archer gear. If you're fighting a wizard, it's going to drop caster gear. And the rarity of the item is randomized, but directly affected by the difficulty of the enemy. So I guess the higher difficulty enemies you're fighting, the higher likelihood of getting like a legendary drop. The game's also going to have crafting, which includes blacksmithing, artificing, tailoring, cooking, and hollow crafting. I don't know what hollow crafting is. It sounds like it's going to be something lore related, but it sounds pretty cool. At least the name is cool, hollow crafting. Also, with the crafting system, you as the crafter get to determine which stats are increased and the rarity of your craft. So I'm guessing it's going to be something along the lines of, the better match you put in, the better rarity you get out. But also, it sounds like maybe if you're determining what stats are increased, maybe there's some kind of like point buy system where you have so many points to spend on the item you craft, and you get to decide how those points are allocated with what stats and damage and speed, all that stuff it does. But it sounds like they're going to have a very in-depth, customizable crafting system, which is pretty cool. There's also a feature that goes back to that casual friendly where you can transport directly to players in need, whether they're in a dungeon or a quest or in an event. Anyone can just quickly hop into action using what's called the journey system, which is essentially a teleport/group finder system that just gets you into the action right away. So that's pretty cool. And if any of this sounds familiar, this game is made by the devs that were behind the THJ, the Hero's Journey EverQuest private server. So that server went bye-bye. They're making their own original game now called Hollowed Oath. This one's pretty cool. Check it out. Next up is Honor of Kings World. This is an action combat game where skill matters. You're also going to have good character appearance customization, but maybe not quite S tier. So like right below that, essentially you'll be able to super customize your head or face, but I think the bodies are kind of locked in. So no mutant bodies in this game. Everyone's going to be a regular sized and shaped human. There are no classes in this game. Your weapons are your class, and you can equip 2 weapons at the same time. Each weapon has their own unique ultimate ability. There's also going to be level scaling dungeons. There's going to be a housing system, and this is kind of cool. I haven't seen this, but I'm sure this isn't the first game they did, but it's the first time I've seen it. You can level up your house plot and expand it from a tiny home into a large homestead. So your house gets bigger as you level it up. There are no raids in this game, unfortunately. So if raids are your thing, this is probably not the game for you, but there will be duels and boss monsters that you can run to obtain gear and upgrade materials. The max party size is going to be 4. I know that's kind of small, but once again, no raids, so 4 players is all you get. There's a main story quest line, there's daily quests, there's PvP in the game too, there's 1v1 and 4v4, and your gear doesn't matter in PvP. Everyone has equalized gear, so it's kind of just that even setting for everyone. I like that. It's purely based on skill and strategy. So that's this, Honor of Kings World. And if you haven't heard of Honor of Kings before, it's like a massive, I think it's one of the biggest mobile games in the world. So that's the IP behind this. So it's probably going to have a massive player base whenever this ends up launching. If you're the kind of player that just wants to play in a game world with tons of other players, this is one that you have to put on your list. Next up is Horizon Steel Frontiers. Now this game is set in the Horizon universe. I have never played a Horizon game. I've seen a couple trailers. They seem like pretty cool action games, but I know nothing about them. I don't know if they were good. I don't know if they were bad. I simply know there's a game out there somewhere called Horizon. But this is set in the Horizon universe, so if you liked the Horizon games, definitely check this one out. This one particularly takes place in the Dreadlands, which is a frontier for machine hunters. As you can see on the screen, they're hunting big giant machine bosses. It reminds me a lot of the Monster Hunter stuff, so I don't know if Horizon is maybe a similar game to Monster Hunter, although I haven't played many Monster Hunters. I think the last Monster Hunter I played was probably 12, 13, 14 years ago on PlayStation 3. I'm just way out of the loop on console gaming. Anyway, this game has a seamless open world, and the combat is inspired by Horizon's hunting action combat. There's going to be large-scale raids with advanced mechanics and deep character customization. So not a whole lot of info on this one. The graphics look great. The combat looks pretty good. It looks fun. So put this one on your list. We'll see how it turns out. Horizon Steel Frontiers. The last game on today's list is called Keuza Online. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. It might be Keuza. I'm going with Keuza. I couldn't find out how to say it. I don't even know where I found this game. I searched the deep, dark depths of the internet to come up with this game for all of you out there. And there's almost no information on it either. I honest to God don't know where this one came from. And did I include this game just so the list would end on a K today after starting with a D? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it just happened that way naturally. Who knows? I'll leave it up to your imaginations. Anyway, this is going to be a free-to-play browser MMORPG that can run on any platform. It's inspired by Tibia and RuneScape. It will have both PvE and PvP, and they have a 2026 targeted release date. That's literally all the information on this thing I was able to find. If anyone knows anything more about this game, feel free to chuck it down in the comments. Send me a message on social media or something. I swear I can't even remember how I found this one. It was on the list though. This game is so obscure, even though it was on my watch list. When I was doing research for the video to kind of get the bullet points of all the games, I couldn't freaking find anything about this game. I think the guy has like a bunch of posts on Instagram maybe, and then he has, I think there were some YouTube videos. There's a website up, but the website doesn't have literally anything. It looks like a placeholder for probably the game when it launches. But yeah, this one, Keuza Online. Maybe it'll turn out good. I believe the website may have said it's the best MMORPG ever or in the world. That might be up for debate, but I guess we'll have to see how it turns out. So those were the 23 games for today's list. Just like I did last time in the first video, I want to give a few quick unique shout outs for the games that I thought were trying to do something overly unique, more ambitious than the typical MMO. This time there's a few more than in the first list, but let's start going through them. First up, Darkcraft. If they pull off the Souls-like combat and Souls-like atmosphere in an MMO, that will be completely insane. I will no-life that game until its servers shut down. So I've got my fingers crossed for Darkcraft. Next up, Debauchery Magic. Just for the pure memes of it all. If the game's fun, it's certainly got the sense of humor and just the memification of MMOs on its side. So it's super unique in that regard. It'll certainly be a good time for at least a weekend, I'm sure. Next up, Epitome. So the AI-powered NPCs could be extremely immersive if they pull it off right. Just being able to have talks with random NPCs in the game about whatever, it just adds such an immersion level to your game that most games don't have. Most of the MMOs out there, you can't even talk to half the NPCs. And the only NPCs you actually can talk to are the quest givers or the vendors. And they don't really say much aside from their scripted things of, here, I'll buy your stuff or go kill these sheep for me. So AI-powered NPCs is going to be a game changer. Even if Epitome doesn't pull it off, I feel like that's a feature that we're going to see more and more in the future as we go further into the 2020s, into the 2030s. Eventually, AI-powered NPCs are probably going to be a standard feature in all games, And it's just, I can't wait for that day. And hopefully Epitome pulls it off and they're like the first of many. Also, next up is Eternal Tombs, the whole Tomb Master system. It sounds like they are doing the whole dev-hosted event as a core feature of their gameplay. So if they have live people just running game sessions constantly every day, that's going to be an insanely fun game, because we've all played the MMOs where there's some kind of dev-hosted event where the dev is actively spawning enemies or controlling enemies or doing things in-game, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So if that's just one of the core features of the game, they have a leg up on a lot of MMOs. So Eternal Tombs, be on the lookout for that. Next up is a twofer, EverQuest Legends and Hollowed Oath. Two sides of the same coin. It's like that Dante's Peak and Volcano movie coming out 2 months apart or whatever. Deep Impact and Armageddon. Hollywood shooting for the same thing twice. So these guys are both going for the casual friendly, which, okay, I don't care if it's casual friendly or not. What I care about is the triple class system. So I'm looking forward to both of these games. I hope they both succeed and do well. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of crazy builds I can come up with. EverQuest Legends and Hollowed Oath triple class systems. Next up is Frontiers Reborn for this heavy social roleplay aspects. Like I said, just like, what was it? Aegis Kingdoms from the first list. This one's going to be super heavy on the roleplay. So if you're a role-playing fan, you got to check this one out. And last up, one more twofer, Frontier Wars Online and Hana for the tactical turn-based combat. You don't see that very often in MMORPGs, so I'm hoping these guys can make it a really fun aspect. I loved all the tactics games and strategy games growing up. I was big into Shining Force. I played the Shadowrun Returns games on PC. What else did I do? I did Final Fantasy Tactics. See, all that stuff is just right up my alley. So I look forward to these systems being successfully implemented into an MMORPG setting. But I hope you guys think that's pretty cool too. But that's it for today's list. Make sure you're subbed to the channel, because there's still more than 90 games that I need to tell you guys about. And some of these games are real bangers. Of course, some of them are just games that exist, but you gotta take the bad with the good, man. I mean, that's just the way it works. I don't make the rules. My hands are tied when it comes to this regard. Anyway, though, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you guys do all the clicking stuff, like, subscribe, comment, all that. And if you want to further support the channel, feel free to check out the links in the description below. I will see you all in game.